The night split open with a scream that echoed like glass shattering against stone. Emma Carter said, "Did you hear that?" Her voice trembled as shadows writhed along the cracked walls of the abandoned farmhouse. David Hale whispered, "Stay close. Something's not right." Their flashlights cut through the dust, beams trembling as if sensing the terror hidden in the darkness. A sudden thud echoed above them, rattling the air, and Laura Carter said, "We should leave now." Her tone cracked, but her steps froze at the staircase where a cold draft whispered. The creak of wooden planks carried the weight of unseen footsteps. Jason Ward muttered, "It's just the wind," though sweat glistened on his temple. Then came the whisper, not from wind nor wood, but a low, chilling voice sliding across the walls. Emma Carter said, "It knows our names." Every breath hung heavy, silence devouring their courage. Then from the ceiling, a shadow stretched, twisting, bending, and suddenly everything fell into dreadful silence. The silence pressed down heavier than the storm outside, every creak of the farmhouse boards echoing louder than thunder. Emma Carter said, "It followed us here," her voice trembling as if naming the presence gave it power. David Hale whispered, "We need answers, not fear." Yet his hands shook while gripping the flashlight tighter. Laura Carter stood unmoving, her eyes fixed on a door at the far end of the hall. Jason Ward muttered, "It doesn't want us to leave," his voice breaking into a hush. The darkness thickened like tar, and shadows bent at unnatural angles across the peeling wallpaper. The house itself seemed to breathe, sighing with unseen weight. Emma Carter stepped forward, but felt a sudden chill seep through the floorboards into her legs. Laura Carter said, "This place remembers," her voice low, as if she had known this house long before they entered. The wooden door at the end groaned as if it were alive. David Hale said, "There's something behind it." Emma Carter's breath quickened, her eyes wide with dread. Jason Ward muttered, "Doors don't breathe," yet his hand refused to touch the knob. Laura Carter said, "This house was never empty." The words slithered like venom, leaving them paralyzed. The walls seemed to sigh, dust falling in lazy spirals from the ceiling. A faint whisper pressed through the wood, forming syllables none could understand. Emma Carter said, "It's calling us," though her lips quivered. The shadows flickered like tongues of flame around the doorframe, bending, twisting, reaching. The knob rattled without warning, metallic clinking breaking the stillness. Emma Carter stumbled backward, nearly dropping her flashlight. David Hale whispered, "It knows we're here." Jason Ward said, "We can't open it," his words sharp yet cracking with fear. Laura Carter stepped forward instead, her voice a whisper, "This door remembers names." Her hand hovered inches from the wood, trembling as shadows crawled from the cracks. Emma Carter said, "Don't touch it." The door thumped as if struck from within, and the whisper behind it became a low growl. The growl deepened into a sound too human, yet too monstrous to belong in this world. Emma Carter said, "It wants us inside." David Hale shook his head, voice sharp, "We are not opening that door." Jason Ward whispered, "It already knows us." Laura Carter's eyes shimmered with something between sorrow and fury. She said, "This house never forgets." The whisper became a scream, echoing from within the wood, like 1,000 voices trapped together. Dust fell from the ceiling, lights flickered, and the farmhouse seemed to convulse with rage. Emma Carter clutched her flashlight tighter, her heart racing as the world around them drowned in the sound of endless screaming. The farmhouse air grew heavier, each breath weighted by memory and dread. Emma Carter whispered, "This place knows us." David Hale muttered, "It's in your head," but his eyes betrayed doubt. Laura Carter stood rigid, her hand brushing the peeling wallpaper, as if she felt something alive beneath it. Jason Ward said, "We can't stay here," his voice breaking though he stayed rooted. Thunder cracked outside, shaking the window frames, dust cascading from the beams. The flickering lights above hummed with failing power, their glow sputtering into darkness. Emma Carter pressed a hand to her chest, trembling as an unseen rhythm matched her heartbeat in the walls. Laura Carter said, The house remembers every scream. Her tone was quiet, yet it struck like a wound. David Hale whispered, "There's no logic in this," but his jaw tightened. Jason Ward muttered, "It's too late to leave." The shadows deepened, gathering like smoke in corners, shifting closer with every pulse of silence. Emma Carter knelt near the floor, tracing fingers along grooves carved into the wooden planks. She said, "Someone marked this before us." David Hale leaned close, flashlight beams skimming symbols burned into the wood. He whispered, "These are warnings." Jason Ward shook his head, muttering, "No, they're tricks, nothing more." Yet his steps faltered. Laura Carter's gaze darkened as she said, "These marks belong to the ones who never left." A low groan rose from the walls, as if in agreement. The storm outside roared, lightning casting skeletal shapes through the shattered window panes. Emma Carter shivered as if hearing voices stitched into the carvings. David Hale whispered, "It wants us to remember." The words carried weight, and Jason Ward took a step back, his face pale. Laura Carter pressed her palm against the grooves, her expression caught between grief and recognition. The floorboards throbbed beneath them as if alive. The carvings began to blur in Emma Carter's vision, symbols bending into shapes that shifted like moving shadows. She said, "They're changing." David Hale leaned closer, whispering, "It's impossible. They're burned into the wood." Jason Ward shouted, "Stop looking at them." His voice cracked with rising fear. Laura Carter whispered, "You don't understand. These are names." The room seemed to sway, air thick as smoke. Emma Carter pressed her hand against her mouth, whispering, "One of them. It's mine." The carved letters glowed faintly, spelling her name in scorched lines. David Hale muttered, "It can't know that," though sweat ran down his temple. Jason Ward backed away, repeating, "It's tricks, it's all tricks." Laura Carter's eyes glistened as she said, "This house binds those it chooses." The storm's roar outside became a whispering chorus inside, voices layered, indistinguishable but suffocating. The storm outside gave way to silence, unnatural and pressing. Emma Carter whispered. It stopped, her voice shaking. David Hale pressed his hand to the wall, muttering, "The house itself is breathing." Jason Ward laughed nervously. "Houses don't breathe," yet his shoulders shook as fear overtook him. Laura Carter said, "It feeds on silence." Her words struck like truth sharpened with sorrow. The lights flickered once more, and in that brief strobe of white, a figure stood at the end of the hallway. Emma Carter gasped, "Someone's here." But the light snapped out, leaving only shadows. David Hale raised his flashlight, but the beam revealed nothing. Jason Ward whispered, "It wants us to see it." Laura Carter's expression hardened, and she said, "It only shows what it owns." The silence deepened until even their breathing seemed stolen. The air grew cold enough to frost their breath, though no wind moved. Emma Carter said, "It's closer now," her teeth chattering. David Hale muttered, "We need to hold together." Jason Ward whispered, "It doesn't want us together." Laura Carter stepped forward, hand trembling as she raised her pendant. She said, "This is where it begins to break us." A loud knock resounded against the far wall, then another, like a heartbeat in wood. Emma Carter clutched her arms tightly, trembling as the sound matched her pulse. David Hale whispered, "It's inside the walls." Jason Ward pressed his back against the door, muttering, "We should run." Laura Carter whispered, "Running only brings it closer." The farmhouse groaned, beams creaking as if under invisible weight. A whisper slithered through the air, speaking their names one by one, ending in silence so thick it felt final. The farmhouse air thickened, as if every shadow pressed closer. Emma Carter said, "It's moving around us," her voice barely more than breath. David Hale raised his flashlight, muttering, "We can't be surrounded inside." Jason Ward snapped, "It's tricks again," though his hands trembled at his sides. Laura Carter stood rigid, her eyes tracing the ceiling beams. She whispered, "It feeds on fear. The more we give, the stronger it grows." A thud rattled the walls, heavy as footsteps from above. Emma Carter clutched her arm, whispering, "There's someone upstairs." David Hale hissed, "We're not splitting up." Jason Ward said, "Then it drives us down." Laura Carter whispered, "It drove others to the cellar before they vanished." The air fell heavy, charged, and each step seemed to echo like dozens. The house bent inward with soundless pressure, pulling them deeper into its grasp. Emma Carter's breath fogged in the air, though no cold wind stirred. She said, "It wants us to follow." David Hale lowered his light, whispering, "That's how it pulls us apart." Jason Ward muttered, "If we don't move, it will trap us anyway." Laura Carter's expression hardened as she said, "The shadows mark their path." The floor groaned, and dust rained from the ceiling. Emma Carter flinched, whispering, "It's waiting above." David Hale pressed his lips together, muttering, "There's logic in going forward, not up." Jason Ward shook his head, "Logic won't save us." Laura Carter said, "Names carved, doors that breathe, shadows that move. Logic cannot hold this place." Emma Carter trembled, her light flickering in her hand as the whispering returned, this time from both floors at once. The ceiling above groaned like something alive crawling through beams. Emma Carter whispered, "It's heavier now." David Hale said, "Whatever it is, it wants us cornered." Jason Ward muttered, "That's how predators work," his voice thin. Laura Carter said, "No, it's how memories work. They corner you until you break." A loud slam shook the farmhouse door, startling all of them. Emma Carter stumbled backward, gasping, "It's not just upstairs." David Hale hissed, "Stay together." Jason Ward whispered, "We shouldn't have come here." Laura Carter closed her eyes briefly and whispered, "We were always meant to." The silence that followed was thick enough to choke, broken only by the groaning walls and their own racing heartbeats. Emma Carter whispered, "It knows every step we take." David Hale gritted his teeth, "Then we don't give it the path it wants." Jason Ward muttered, "It's too late, it already has us." Laura Carter stepped toward the stairwell, whispering, "It keeps its secrets above." A distant cry echoed from upstairs, high and broken, like a child's voice. Emma Carter gasped, "There's someone else here." David Hale hissed, "No one survived here long enough." Jason Ward said, "If we hear it, then it wants us to." Laura Carter's eyes shone with grim certainty, whispering, "It uses voices of the lost." The cry echoed again, closer, pulling at Emma Carter's heart as she trembled. The cry grew louder until it became a scream, rattling the wall. Emma Carter covered her ears, whispering, "It hurts." David Hale shouted, "It's not real." Jason Ward's knees buckled, and he muttered, "It feels real enough." Laura Carter's pendant shook in her hand, the chain rattling as she whispered, "This is how it breaks us." The scream shifted into whispers, hundreds of voices overlapping, speaking their names one by one. Emma Carter gasped, "It knows too much." David Hale muttered, "It wants us afraid, not dead, yet." Jason Ward shouted, "Then what does it want?" Laura Carter whispered, "It wants us to remember what we buried." The farmhouse pulsed with sound, beams trembling, dust falling like ash from above, and the lights blinked into near darkness. The farmhouse seemed to shift, walls pulsing as if alive. Emma Carter whispered, "It hides something deeper." David Hale pressed his hand against the wood, muttering, "It's hollow, something's inside." Jason Ward shook his head, voice sharp, "Don't touch it." Laura Carter's eyes narrowed as she said, "Secrets buried here refuse to stay silent." A soft knock echoed from within the wall, steady and rhythmic, as if answering. Emma Carter gasped, "It's calling." David Hale whispered, "No, it's warning." Jason Ward muttered, "Warnings don't whisper our names," his words cracking. Laura Carter whispered, "The house remembers who it took, and now it wants us to know them." The knock stopped abruptly, replaced by a groan as the wall cracked. From inside, faint shadows pressed outward like hands trapped beneath wood. The cracks widened, splinters falling to the floor. Emma Carter said, "It's opening." David Hale raised his flashlight, muttering, "There's something inside." Jason Ward whispered, Don't let it out." Laura Carter stepped closer, her tone low. "It's already been released." The wall split, revealing a hollow space lined with scorched carvings. Emma Carter trembled, whispering, "Names, more names." David Hale said, "All carved into this place." Jason Ward's voice broke. "These were people." Laura Carter pressed her hand against one name, whispering, "These were sacrifices." The hollow groaned like a living wound. Emma Carter cried, "Why us?" David Hale whispered, "Because it knows us now." Jason Ward's breathing turned frantic as the space seemed to exhale darkness, a cold that wrapped around them like chains. From the hollow came a whisper that grew louder, forming words in unison. Emma Carter gasped. "They're speaking together." David Hale said, "It's hundreds of voices." Jason Ward pressed his hands over his ears, muttering, "Make it stop." Laura Carter said, "They are trapped, crying for release." The darkness slithered outward, stretching across the floor like liquid shadow. Emma Carter whispered, "It's reaching for us." David Hale shouted, "Stay back." Jason Ward screamed, "It's inside me," clutching his chest. Laura Carter raised her pendant, whispering, "This house binds through blood." The voices fell silent, replaced by one clear voice, saying all of their names at once. Emma Carter cried, "It knows us, every piece of us." David Hale whispered, "This is no accident. We were meant to be here." The pendant in Laura Carter's hand glowed faintly, defying the shadow. Emma Carter whispered, "What are you hiding from us?" Laura Carter's voice cracked. "I knew this place." David Hale turned sharply, muttering, "What do you mean you knew it?" Jason Ward shouted, "You brought us here." Laura Carter whispered, "It took someone I loved long ago, and it never released me." Emma Carter gasped, "This is why you said the house remembers." David Hale said, "You lied to us." Jason Ward muttered, "We never should followed you." Laura Carter's tears glistened as she whispered, "I thought I could end it, but it only grows stronger." The walls trembled, dust cascading, the shadows circling closer as if feeding on the confession. The shadows surged with renewed strength, twisting across walls and ceiling. Emma Carter cried, "It wants her truth." David Hale shouted, "Then it already has us." Jason Ward whispered, "We were never meant to survive this." Laura Carter raised her trembling hands, saying, "It feeds on secrets, and I gave it mine." Emma Carter said, "Then it will take more." The voices returned, louder, chanting names of the dead mixed with theirs. David Hale whispered, "It's binding us." Jason Ward screamed, "We can't fight it." Laura Carter whispered, "No, we can resist, but only if we face what it shows." The farmhouse lights flickered violently, and every shadow stretched to the breaking point, bending reality around them as the truth demanded its price. The farmhouse walls groaned louder as if choking on hidden truths. Emma Carter whispered, "It's pulling us apart." David Hale muttered, "No, it's forcing us closer." Jason Ward shouted, "She knew this place all along." His eyes burned toward Laura Carter. Laura Carter lowered her gaze, whispering, "I came here once before when I was young." Emma Carter trembled, saying, "You brought us to a curse." David Hale's jaw clenched, muttering, "You lured us into this." Jason Ward's voice cracked, "You betrayed us." Laura Carter's voice shook, "It took my sister. Her name is carved into the wall you just saw." The air split with a shriek that rattled the beams. Emma Carter cried, "Your family was already bound to it." David Hale hissed, "Then so are we." The farmhouse moaned as shadows writhed violently, chains unseen, wrapping the hall with crushing silence. The shadows circled, forming patterns across the floor like broken chains. Emma Carter said, "It marked us the moment we entered." David Hale muttered, "It feeds on bloodlines." Jason Ward shouted, "This isn't just chance, it chose us." Laura Carter whispered, "It chose me long ago. Now it wants all of you." Emma Carter cried, "We never had a choice." David Hale said, "There's always a choice, even when it feels like none." Jason Ward's voice cracked. "Then what choice do we have now?" Laura Carter whispered, "To give it what it wants, or let it take everything." The walls pulsed, veins of shadow crawling across plaster. Emma Carter gasped, "It wants more than names." David Hale clenched his jaw, muttering, "It wants lives." Jason Ward's breath faltered as the shadows stretched toward him. The shadow pressed tighter around Jason Ward, its tendrils wrapping his ankles. Emma Carter shouted, "It's taking him!" David Hale pulled Jason Ward back, muttering, "Hold on." Jason Ward screamed, "It already knows me. It has me." Laura Carter said, "It's not him it wants, it's his bloodline." Emma Carter gasped, "Bloodline? What do you mean?" Laura Carter whispered, "Jason Ward is tied to this place. His family helped build it." Jason Ward froze, eyes wide, shouting, "You're lying." David Hale hissed, "That's why it singled you out." Emma Carter cried, "It's binding him." Laura Carter whispered, "No, it's binding us all through him." Jason Ward fell to his knees, screaming as his name burned into the floor beside Emma Carter's. The farmhouse wailed like a beast in triumph. Jason Ward writhed, clutching at the burning floor. Emma Carter screamed, "We can't let it take him." David Hale shouted, "We fight it together." Jason Ward sobbed, "It's too late, I'm already its." Laura Carter raised her pendant, whispering, "It only takes what's hidden, our truths, our lies, our blood." Emma Carter cried, "Then tell us how to stop it." Laura Carter whispered, "We can't stop it. We can only give it more." David Hale hissed, "Then we fight without you." Jason Ward shouted, "Don't you see? She gave it to me already." Emma Carter gasped, "What?" Laura Carter's eyes glistened as she whispered, "Your father made a pact with this house long before tonight." Silence followed before the shadows convulsed violently, feeding on the revelation. The farmhouse roared with a voice not human, shadows stretching like wings across the hall. Emma Carter whispered, "This was never random, it was blood binding us." David Hale muttered, "We were brought here to finish what they started." Jason Ward sobbed, "My family cursed us all." Laura Carter whispered, "The pact was never broken, it was only waiting." Emma Carter trembled, saying, "Then one of us has to pay." David Hale hissed, "It won't be her or you." Jason Ward whispered, "It's already me, it's always been me." Laura Carter's voice cracked, "If he's taken, the rest of us remain tied forever." Emma Carter cried, "Then we are already lost." The house groaned, chains rattling in the walls as shadows coiled tighter. The truth had been revealed, but survival was far from certain. The farmhouse shook violently, shadows tearing at the walls like claws. Emma Carter screamed, "It's ripping this place apart." David Hale shouted, "Stay together. Don't let it separate us." Jason Ward cried, "It's inside me. I can't hold it back." Laura Carter clutched her pendant, whispering, "It wants your blood, Jason, because of the pact." Emma Carter reached for him, yelling, "We won't let it take you." David Hale muttered, "If it binds him, we all fall." Jason Ward sobbed, "Then let me end it." Laura Carter said, "It won't end, it will only move to the next." The beams groaned, wood splintering, and the air filled with the scream of hundreds of trapped voices. Emma Carter cried, "It's breaking everything." The shadows surged toward them, coiling like serpents ready to strike. The shadows lunged, wrapping tighter around Jason Ward's chest. Emma Carter shouted, "It's taking him now." David Hale pulled against the tendrils, muttering, "Not while I'm still standing." Jason Ward screamed, "You don't understand. I was meant to die here." Laura Carter whispered, "The pact was blood for blood." Emma Carter cried, "There has to be another way." David Hale gritted his teeth, shouting, "We don't give it what it wants." Jason Ward's eyes rolled back, his voice breaking, "It already has me." Laura Carter's tears streaked down as she whispered, "It won't stop until someone gives themselves willingly." Emma Carter screamed, "Then it takes none of us." The house wailed in rage, shaking like a living beast, dust raining down in sheets from the ceiling. The floor beneath Jason Ward burst open, revealing blackness that pulsed like a heart. Emma Carter screamed, "It's opening beneath him." David Hale shouted, "Hold him!" Jason Ward cried, "Don't fight it, let me go." Laura Carter whispered, "If he falls, it will bind us forever." Emma Carter sobbed, "We won't sacrifice him." David Hale hissed, "This ends with the truth." Jason Ward screamed, "The truth is my family built this prison, and I was always the offering." Emma Carter gasped, "No, that can't be." Laura Carter whispered, "He is the bloodline key. It was always him." The ground shook, pulling Jason Ward downward into the abyss. Emma Carter cried, "We can't lose him," while the void swallowed the light around them. Emma Carter screamed, "We won't give you to it." David Hale shouted, "Fight, Jason, fight it back." Jason Ward sobbed, "I can't. It's stronger than me." Laura Carter whispered, "You can resist, but only if you accept the pain." Emma Carter cried, "We'll take it together." David Hale hissed, "Then let it take all of us, not just him." Jason Ward screamed, "No, it wants me. It always wanted me." Laura Carter raised her pendant, whispering, "Then let the curse break through sacrifice." Emma Carter shouted, "Not his, not yours." The shadows hissed, filling the hall with the sound of rattling chains, the floorboard splintering further. Jason Ward looked up with broken eyes and whispered, "Forgive me," before the shadows surged higher, wrapping around all of them at once. The shadows swallowed the hall in total darkness, and the house screamed with a sound older than time. Emma Carter shouted, "We won't give you anyone." David Hale cried, "We stand together even here." Jason Ward screamed, "It ends with me." Laura Carter's pendant shattered in her hands as she whispered, "Then it will never be free." The abyss pulled harder, dragging Jason Ward into the floor. Emma Carter sobbed, "No." David Hale roared, "Hold on." Jason Ward whispered one last word, "Remember," before the floor sealed shut, cutting off his scream. Silence followed, crushing and absolute, broken only by the echo of chains deep beneath the wood. Emma Carter fell to her knees, trembling, whispering, "It took him." Laura Carter whispered, "No, he gave himself." The farmhouse trembled once more before falling still. The farmhouse groaned into silence, its walls trembling one last time. Emma Carter knelt on the floor, whispering, "He's gone." David Hale pressed his fists against the cracked boards, muttering, "Jason gave himself for us." Laura Carter's pendant lay shattered, its fragments glimmering faintly in the dust. She whispered, "The pact is broken, but the cost remains." Emma Carter's eyes brimmed with tears as she said, "It should have been none of us." David Hale clenched his jaw, whispering, "The house still breathes." A faint hum echoed through the beams, like a heartbeat buried in the wood. Emma Carter cried, "It's not finished." Laura Carter whispered, "It never finishes. It waits." The farmhouse shifted slightly, as if inhaling, while darkness retreated into the cracks. The three survivors staggered into the dim light of the farmhouse's front room. Emma Carter whispered, "We have to leave before it pulls us back." David Hale muttered, "It doesn't let go that easily." Laura Carter's voice shook, "It never lets go, it follows." The storm outside had stopped, but the windows rattled with unseen pressure. Emma Carter said, "We need to run now." David Hale shook his head, whispering, "Even outside it will find us." Laura Carter whispered, "It already lives inside us." Emma Carter cried, "We can't let Jason's sacrifice be wasted." David Hale muttered, "Then we walk out alive, no matter what it takes." The door creaked open, but the night beyond looked darker than the house itself. The night outside was still, too quiet for the storm that raged moments before. Emma Carter whispered, "The world feels different." David Hale muttered, "It doesn't want us leaving." Laura Carter said, "The house follows no matter where we go." Emma Carter's breath shook as she whispered, Then Jason's sacrifice was in vain. David Hale growled. No, he gave us a chance. We take it. Laura Carter whispered, but a chance comes with a cost. From the trees nearby, a whisper echoed Jason Ward's voice, faint but clear. Remember. Emma Carter gasped. That was him. David Hale shook his head, muttering, No, that was the house. Laura Carter's eyes closed, her face pale, whispering, It carries his voice now. They stepped into the open air, but the silence pressed heavier than the farmhouse walls. Emma Carter whispered, It feels worse out here. David Hale muttered, The house isn't bound to wood, it's bound to us. Laura Carter said, It moves through memory, not place. Emma Carter cried, Then we'll never be free. David Hale clenched his fists, muttering, Then we fight it, until the end. Laura Carter whispered, There's no end, only survival. The shadows of the trees stretched unnaturally toward them, bending as if alive. Emma Carter gasped, They're following us. David Hale shouted, Keep moving. Laura Carter whispered, Once chosen, you can't escape. The shadows spread further, reaching across the ground like skeletal hands. The forest darkened, as if swallowing the night sky. Emma Carter whispered, It's still here with us. David Hale muttered, It will never stop. Laura Carter's eyes glistened as she whispered, This was never about the house. It was about us. A distant scream echoed, the same as the one that opened their night of terror. Emma Carter gasped, It's starting again. David Hale's voice hardened, Then it waits for the next night, the next life. Laura Carter whispered, The shifting shadows never end. The air grew still, their breaths the only sound. A whisper slid through the darkness. Jason Ward's voice, faint but sharp. I'll be waiting. The silence returned, heavy and endless, sealing their fate in dread.